All right, you filthy animals, welcome to another deep dive. And tonight we're going balls deep into the world of the Orchestra of the Age of Enlightenment,
The OAE.
the OAE.
Yeah.
Now, I know you're thinking, a name like that sounds like a bunch of crusty old farts in powdered wigs playing boring-ass Mozart,
Yeah.
right? But trust me, these guys are anything but your typical stuffy orchestra.
That's right. The OAE is known for being a bit of a rebel in the classical music scene. You know, they formed back in 1986, basically a bunch of musicians who said, fuck this. We're doing things our own way.
So they're like the Sex Pistols of the classical world,
Uh,
but instead of spitting on the audience, they're playing violins.
well, they might not be spitting on the audience,
Okay.
but they're definitely not afraid to shake things up.
Yeah.
One of the things that makes them so unique is that they're self-governing. No conductor, no board of directors, just the musicians themselves calling the shots.
Wait a minute. Hold the fucking phone. No conductor. How the hell does that even work? Isn't a conductor like essential for keeping everyone in sync? Otherwise it'd just be a cacophony of noise, right?
It might seem chaotic,
Yeah.
but they've got it down to a science. They work together as a collective, deciding on repertoire interpretations and basically everything else. It's a pretty radical concept in the classical music world, which is usually all about hierarchy and tradition.
So they're like a musical democracy. Everyone
Yeah.
gets an equal vote.
Exactly. They're all about collaboration and shared responsibility. It's a pretty refreshing approach, especially in a field that can be so stuffy and elitist.
Okay, I'm digging this whole democratic orchestra vibe.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get to the music. What kind of shit do they actually play? Is it all Mozart and Beethoven, or do they branch out a bit?
They primarily focus on music from the late 18th century, the Age of Enlightenment, but that doesn't mean they're stuck in a time warp. They've been known to tackle everything from Baroque to contemporary works, and they do it all on period instruments.
Hold up, period instruments. You mean those dusty old fiddles and shit you see in museums? Doesn't it sound like a bunch of cats being strangled?
Not at all. Period instruments are actually incredible. They were designed and built during the time the music was composed.
Oh, okay. So we're talking about violins with good strings, harpsichords, and all sorts of other instruments that create a completely different sound than what you're used to hearing in a modern orchestra. It's like taking a time machine back to the 18th century and hearing the music as it was originally intended.
Okay, that sounds pretty fucking cool. But you gotta admit, it's a bit of a niche thing, right? I mean, how many people are actually interested in hearing music played on instruments that are older than America?
More than you might think. There's a growing appreciation for early music these days. People are realizing that it's not just about historical accuracy, it's about experiencing music in a way that's raw, intimate, and incredibly powerful.
So they're like the hipsters of the classical world, digging through the crates for forgotten gems and bringing them back to the masses.
There's definitely an element of that.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to challenge the norms and explore new ways of presenting this music.
All right, I'm starting to see why these guys are such a big deal. But you mentioned something earlier about them playing in unusual venues. Spill the tea. What's that all about?
Yeah.
They do some pretty wild stuff. For instance, they have a residency at Ackland Burghley School, a regular high school in London. They actually have their offices and recording studio there.
Wait, a high school? Seriously.
Yeah.
That's either the best idea ever or a recipe for absolute disaster. Imagine these world-class musicians surrounded by hormonal teenagers all day. Be like a scene out of a John Hughes movie, only with more oboes.
It's actually a brilliant initiative. They work closely with the students, giving them a chance to experience classical music up close and personal. They even have an apprenticeship program for young musicians, giving them hands-on experience playing with a professional orchestra.
So they're like musical mentors.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty damn cool. But let's be real, I bet they secretly get pissed off when they hear some kid butchering hot cross buns on the recorder during their lunch break.
I'm sure there are moments of frustration, but overall it seems like a really positive relationship. They're exposing these kids to a whole new world of music, breaking down those barriers and showing them that classical music isn't just for stuffy old people.
Okay, that's pretty impressive. But let's talk about something a little more my speed. You mentioned they do these late-night concerts where you can actually drink during the performance. That sounds like my kind of scene.
Ah, yes, the night shift. These concerts are designed to be a more relaxed and social experience. You can grab a drink chat with your mates and enjoy some amazing music without feeling like you're in some stuffy concert hall.
So no need to dress up like you're going to the opera.
Yeah.
Can I wear jeans and a t-shirt? Hell, can I show up in my pajamas?
Pretty much. The dress code is casual and the atmosphere is very laid back. It's all about making classical music more accessible and less intimidating for a wider audience.
That's what I like to hear. But tell me, what kind of music do they play at these things? Is it just watered-down Mozart for the masses?
Not at all. They play a diverse range of repertoire from well-known masterpieces to lesser-known gems. They even incorporate contemporary works sometimes. It's all about showcasing the richness and diversity of classical music in a way that's engaging and exciting for everyone.
So it's not just for classical music nerds. Even a Philistine like me could enjoy it.
Absolutely. The OAE is all about breaking down those stereotypes and showing that classical music can be enjoyed by anyone, regardless of their background or musical knowledge.
All right, I'm sold. These guys sound like they're doing some seriously cool shit.
Yeah.
But tell me, what's the catch? There's got to be a downside to all this, right?
Yeah.
Are they secretly a cult? Do they make you sacrifice a goat to Mozart before you can join?
No goats involved, as far as I know. But there are definitely challenges that come with their unique approach. Like what? Don't keep me hanging. Spill the goddamn beans.
Yeah, what kind of fucked up shit goes on behind the scenes with these guys?
Well, for one thing, their democratic structure can be pretty demanding. Every decision has to be made by consensus, which can take a lot of time and debate.
Sounds like a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
I'm ever trying to get 50 musicians to agree on what to have for lunch, let alone interpret a goddamn symphony. Talk about herding cats.
It's definitely not always easy. They have to be incredibly patient, communicative, and willing to compromise. But when it works, it can lead to some truly amazing results.
So it's like a musical orgy. Everyone's throwing in their ideas, and somehow it all comes together in a beautiful, harmonious mess.
I wouldn't call it an orgy, but there's definitely a sense of shared passion and creativity that drives them, and their commitment to playing on period instruments adds another layer of complexity.
Yeah, we haven't really talked much about the whole period instrument thing. Fill us in. What's the big fucking deal with these ancient instruments anyway?
It's not just about nostalgia or historical accuracy. Playing on period instruments actually changes the entire sound and feel of the music. These instruments were designed to be played in specific ways, and they respond differently to modern instruments.
So it's not just about playing the right notes. It's about playing them in a way that's authentic to the time period. Sounds kind of pretentious if you ask me.
It might sound that way, but it actually makes a huge difference. The music comes alive in a way that you just don't get with modern instruments. It's more raw, more visceral, more emotionally charged.
All right, I'll bite. Give me an example. What's the difference between hearing, say, Mozart played on a modern violin versus a period violin?
For starters, the strings on a period violin are made from gut, not steel. This gives them a warmer, more mellow tone. And the bows are shorter and lighter, which allows for a more delicate and nuanced articulation.
Gut strings. That's kind of fucked up, isn't it? Like, are they made from actual catguts?
Not catguts, you asshat. Usually sheep or cow intestines. It was the standard material for centuries before steel strings came along.
All right. No need to get your knickers in a twist.
Yeah.
So they've got these funky old instruments. They're playing music from the 18th century.
Yeah.
But how does that translate to a modern audience? Are people really that interested in hearing music from hundreds of years ago?
You'd be surprised. There's a growing appreciation for early music these days. People are realizing that it's not just about dusty old scores and powdered wigs, it's about experiencing music that's full of passion drama and raw emotion. And the OAE is at the forefront of this movement, bringing this music to life in a way that's fresh, exciting, and relevant to modern audiences.
So they're like the hipsters of the classical world, digging through the crates for forgotten gems and bringing them back to the masses.
Something like that. They're not afraid to challenge the status quo and explore new ways of performing and presenting this music.
Okay, I'm sold. These guys are the real deal. But let's talk about their residency at that high school. You said they actually have their offices and recording studio there? That's pretty wild.
It is. It's a unique partnership that benefits both the orchestra and the school. For the OAE, it gives them a dedicated space to rehearse, record, and work on their various projects. And for the students, it's an incredible opportunity to be exposed to world-class musicians and experience the inner workings of a professional orchestra.
I bet it's a bit of a culture clash, though, right? Imagine these stuffy musicians walking the halls with all those hormonal teenagers. It's like a scene out of a John Hughes movie, only with more oboes.
I'm sure there are some amusing moments, but it seems like the OAE has really embraced the school community. They've conducted workshops, given master classes, and even performed alongside the students in some cases.
So it's not just about them showing up, playing their fancy music, and then buggering off back to their ivory tower.
Not at all. It's about building bridges between the classical music world and the wider community. They're showing these kids that classical music isn't just for rich, old people. It's something that everyone can enjoy and participate in.
I'm starting to feel like a right cynic here. Maybe I should hang out with these guys for a bit, soak up some of that positive energy. Do they do group therapy sessions?
I doubt they offer therapy, but they do have a pretty impressive outreach program. They work with schools, community groups, and even hospitals, bringing music to people who might not otherwise have access to it.
See, I knew there was a heart of gold under all that rebellious swagger. But let's not get too sentimental here. Tell me more about these late-night concerts where you can drink. That sounds like my kind of scene.
Ah, yes, the night shift. These concerts are a stroke of genius, if you ask me.
Yeah.
They're short, informal, and designed to be a more relaxed and social experience. You can grab a drink, chat with friends, and enjoy some fantastic music without feeling like you're in a stuffy concert hall.
So no need to dress up like you're going to the opera. Can I wear jeans and a t-shirt?
Absolutely. The dress code is casual, and the atmosphere is much more laid back than your typical classical concert. It's all about breaking down barriers and making classical music more accessible to a wider audience.
Sounds like my kind of party. But tell me, what kind of music do they play at these things? Is it just watered-down Mozart for the masses?
Not at all. They play a wide range of repertoire, from Baroque to classical to early Romantic. They've even been known to throw in some contemporary pieces for good measure.
So they're not afraid to mix things up a bit. I like it. Any chance they'll play some Metallica? That'd be epic.
I wouldn't hold your breath for Metallica, but they definitely have a sense of adventure and aren't afraid to take risks. They're all about finding new ways to connect with audiences and make classical music feel fresh and exciting.
All right, so let's recap. The OAE plays on period instruments. They hang out with high school kids. They let you drink at their concerts. And they're not afraid to push the boundaries of classical music.
Sounds like they're the coolest orchestra on the planet.
I'd say they're definitely up there. They're a group of incredibly talented musicians who are passionate about what they do and committed to sharing their love of music with the world.
I'm inspired. I think I need to go listen to some Mozart now. But not the boring elevator music version. I want the real deal. The raw, gut-string, period instrument version.
That's the spirit. And who knows, maybe you'll even find yourself at one of their night shift concerts, sipping a beer and tapping your foot to some 18th century beats.
Now you're talking. But first I need to find a good powdered wig. Yeah, for authenticity.
Just don't headbang too hard in that wig. We don't want to lose it in the mosh pit. Mosh pit? Who said anything about a mosh pit? I was thinking more of a genteel waltz. Yeah, keep it classy.
Yeah.
Dangerous. You think these cello strumming motherfuckers are dangerous? What are they going to do, shank someone with a tuning fork?
Not literally dangerous, maybe. But they're definitely disrupting the classical music scene. Challenging the status quo, poking the bear, if you will.
Yeah, I bet those old school conductors are shitting their pants watching these guys succeed. No conductor period instruments drinking at concerts. It's like they're throwing the rule book out the window and saying, fuck you to the establishment.
It's certainly a bold approach, and it's not without its risks. Their commitment to democratic decision-making can be time-consuming and sometimes frustrating. Imagine trying to get 50 musicians to agree on anything. It's like herding cats. Only the cats have opinions on tempo and phrasing.
Yeah, I can see how that could be a pain in the ass. But isn't there also something beautiful about that? A bunch of artists coming together as equals, sharing their ideas and creating something truly unique?
Absolutely. It's a testament to their passion, their dedication, and their belief in the power of collaboration. And it's not just about the music. Their approach is reflected in their outreach programs, their residency at the high school, their commitment to making classical music accessible to everyone.
Okay, you've convinced me. These guys aren't just some pretentious wankers trying to be different for the sake of it. They're actually doing something meaningful, something that challenges our perceptions of what classical music is and who it's for.
Exactly. They're proving that classical music doesn't have to be stuffy, elitist, or boring. It can be raw, visceral, exciting, and even a little bit dangerous.
Dangerous? All right, I'll give you that. They're dangerous to the status quo. They're dangerous to those who think classical music is just for rich old farts. And they're dangerous to those who believe that things have to be done a certain way.
And that's a good thing, because
Yeah.
sometimes the world needs a little bit of shaking up.
Damn right.
Yeah.
So what can we, the unwashed masses, do to support this glorious revolution? Should we start throwing tomatoes at conductors, storm the opera houses, and demand period instruments?
I wouldn't recommend resorting to violence. But you can start by checking out their recordings, attending their concerts, and spreading the word about what they do.
All right, consider it done. I'm officially a convert to the Church of the OAE. I might even ditch my electric guitar and pick up a harpsichord, though I'm not sure I'd look good in a powdered wig.
I think you'd rock the powdered wig look. But the most important thing is to keep an open mind and embrace the beauty and power of music no matter what form it takes.
Words. Well, folks, that's all the time we've got for today's deep dive into the world of the orchestra of the Age of Enlightenment. A truly inspiring bunch of rule-breaking, music-making badasses, if you ask me.
Absolutely.
So until next time, stay curious, stay rebellious, and keep the music playing. Peace out.